Okay, live disengaging from linear mindset on the Columbia River, and the sunset here is absolutely beautiful, although it's not showing up on the live feed too well. So let's see here. There it is in my rearview mirror. And Aubrey, hi Aubrey, and Wichashwa Khan, Tokashkege Wuhan. So, disengaging from linear mindset. I was talking to someone earlier about learning, and that in modern society we have set aside a structured time for learning. And, one of the things when we talk about disengaging from linear mindset, colonial ways, this kind of thing, whatever you want to call it, is identifying mental roadblocks and the things that people get stuck on. So that learning one is a really important one. And I've taken a lot of notes on that, and it equates to work also is another one, and many other things. But basically the concept is that we have this structured allotted time where society says you learn here in this one little area. Well, but in a natural way we're learning all the time, and constantly learning, and there's a constant flow of information accumulation and comparing, what we'd call data or whatever, and thinking about all these different processes. So people growing up in linear society with a linear mindset have a tendency to say, oh, okay, now I'm out of school or I'm off of work, and then forget that. And that's like, wow, like what part of your life? I mean, we're killing ourselves that way. If we don't want to learn and we don't want to work now. Well, what the fuck? That's like, what else are we not going to do? You might as well just quit eating then, and shorten that process. So this is a beautiful sunrise. It's a beautiful sunset, so I'm kind of keeping it here instead of myself. You don't need to see me. This is beautiful. But I'm digressing there a little bit. Enjoying nature and natural process while disengaging from linear society. I think that's a big part of it, getting out in nature. But to identify these things where mainstream society says, oh, here's the part where you learn, or here's the part where you work. That's not real. That's that false narrative being perpetrated or perpetuated, or both, and it has hugely adverse effects to our species as a whole. And just because no one takes time to say, hey, wait a minute, how important is this? So to be intentional and say, okay, we're learning all the time. We have to be learning all the time. And let's say, we can have a little bit of, we have lots of choice on what we learn or what we don't learn. And I think, a lot of things in school settings and in pre-formatted information acquiring settings is needless, and it's a false way of learning. You never just go in and just accumulate data just like that. Not that it's bad, in my opinion, to have things consolidated, have information consolidated and organized. I think that there's very, very viable components to that. But just to know that that's a small part of our existence and our learning and our cognitive function, how our brain works, and that we just can't keep learning in that way. And that, again, that's another delusion of linear mindset, is that just learn, but maybe learn's not the word. It's just accumulating data that's already been thought of, that's already been preconceived. And so, well, where'd that data come from? You know, there's a huge line there that needs to be recognized, you know, and what's just accumulating data to be used in a pre-formatted setting versus what is actual thought and intentional personal growth and personal development about thought and our personal path, about what we want to do and the things that we want to learn. So everybody can't be a mathematician or a doctor or, you know, lawyer or whatever. So we need to, again, think about what we're thinking about and think about how we position ourselves in the world and what we expose ourselves to, what we buy into or choose not to buy into. We do have that ability, even though everyone's, you know, affected by the linear mindset, contemporary society. But we can say, recognize these things, and by recognizing these serious and severe discrepancies in colonized society, then we can start to break those down, and then we can start to say, hey, look, this really isn't good for us, you know, and you know, call it, you know, in the name of, you know, our species and the planet as a whole. And, you know, to that learning, okay, here to say, okay, here's a good place to gather data, and here's a place where you're going to learn a lot of things that other people learn, versus saying that here is the only place to learn, and here, you know, it's just a real subtle, it's a subtle difference on one hand, but it's a massive extreme difference on the other one. People start taking that mindset, that people start buying in that linear mindset and saying, oh, okay, so I'm off school, so now I'm not going to think anymore. I'm shutting my brain off. As you know, we've heard people say that before. Or I'm off work, you know, and now I'm not working. And work, you know, in just the common term, everything works. You know, everything in nature works 24 hours, 24/7. Everything's working, to use it in that context. You know, let's disengage from the, you know, the money earning component, and what do we get out of work? So, you know, work, there's huge aspects, you know, there's the physical exertion, you know, that physical output. We have to have that physical output. There's the mental challenge, processes. How do we do this better? How do we, you know, engage our processes? How do we figure things out? Working with others, team building, that kind of thing, in work and obviously business. Anyone that knows me knows about the other benefits of business stuff. But the learning and the work, those can't be just like parts of life. That is life. And so it's a false narrative that people get trapped in this mental roadblock of thinking that learning and work are just in certain areas. They're in all areas, and we need to really cognitively recognize that. So that was just that aspect of the learning. And let's see, Aubrey says, if you are really shutting down your brain from learning, you're missing. Yeah, and what's going on? Can we even shut down our brains? I mean, that's interesting, because people may be at this point. Yeah, I mean, that who knows what's the connection there between ages and ages of school, right? I probably should have mentioned school earlier on, but yeah, formatted learning structure, aka school, of generations and generations of people going to school, and calling that, oh, this is the time what we learn, and this is knowledge. That's, there's information there, but not to just say that that's the only thing. And so I mean, there could be huge intergenerational accumulation of lack of accumulation of knowledge. I don't know how you'd say that, but yeah, that's absolutely going to have a huge effect on our species and people that have been through that. So yeah, and to be intentional. I mean, how many? Yeah, good stuff, Aubrey. Appreciate your feedback there. To reclaim that, because everyone's grown up in school, right? So we go to school, and then we're 13 or 17 or whatever, and we start becoming more self-aware. But we've already have this linear mindset. We've already been exposed to it. It's already adversely affected us. And then so as adults now we can retake this education, be educated on our own level for things that interest us, or can grow the diversity of our. I'm not sure how to say that, but just by engaging in things that are interesting to us, or maybe seeking out things that we don't know are interested until we find them. Just like someone was talking about, or like a random Google search. So you can just do a Google thing, it'll just pick up random stuff. And I think that could be like kind of cross training for the brain, is so that we're just able to learn in general. And I think that when we focus on something that we appreciate, we can get a touch of tunnel vision, so that it's good to have some balance to explore things that are new to us, just to keep our brain, just to get that balance to kind of set our brains off, so we don't get in that linear cycle. And watching out for the tunnel vision effect. So yeah. So anyway, learning. We have to learn absolutely, and be effective and intentional on our learning, and being intentional on our growth. And that's what everything's about. That's what disengaging from linear mindset is about, is identifying things that are harmful to us and figuring out how we can overcome those challenges, and to retake our lives in an intentional and healthy way, and also spread that around to people that don't know, and or that aren't aware, and keep awareness going, and keep learning, keep growing. I think that if we're intentional about it, and cognitive about it, we can outgrow our challenges. We can overcome our challenges. We can overgrow. We can grow ourselves to the point that we can embrace our challenges on a full level, and just by looking at things on that cognitive, logical way. That's what we say, spiritual logic. If you read the hashtags on my Disengaging from Linear Mindset, the spiritual logic, and that's being really intentional about our growth. And so that was that, and learning and being intentional learners, and living better lives, living cyclically, living in a cyclical fashion, and acknowledging the things that aren't cyclical, and disengaging from linear mindset. So hope everyone has a good evening, and that's all I got to say about that. Bye-bye.